Hey, good morning channel. Something a little different today. We're gonna mix it up. I'm gonna be installing some lights on my Bronco. Let me show you. They are some white LED lights, grill lights, and they're gonna go right here. There's the Bronco before. I'll throw up a picture. But they're going to shine through these slots. There's 3 of them. One in the middle, and one over here, spaced out evenly. The new Bronco Raptors have these lights in amber. I chose the white because the running lights are white, the halo lights are white, and the lettering's white, so I wanted white grill lights. Actually, it was my wife that wanted it, so we're going to get them installed today. Stay tuned. Okay, I purchased this kit from Bronco LED Shop, and I'll put a link to them at the bottom of the video, but there's the wiring harness that came with the kit. So some other tools we're going to need for the installation today is a 10mm socket. We're going to need some plastic pry tools to get up some clips. We're going to need some zip ties to secure the wiring, and those zip ties came in the kit. By the way, gonna need a pair of clippers to clip off those zip ties. And then we need a T25 and T27 Torx bit for this installation. So that's it, let's get started. All right, first we're gonna have to take off this radiator plastic cap or hood that goes over the top of the radiator. And there are 9 little clips that need to come out. You can use your pry tools to just pop these things up. So there's 9 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Each of these clips have a little spacer type area on one side of it where you can get your pry tool underneath. And then it's just a matter of slowly prying it up. Don't get in a hurry, you don't want to break these. They're not going to break, just take your time. Pull them up a little bit, and then once they're up, they're free. You can get in, sorry. Let's see if I can get this video steady. Then you can get in underneath the whole thing and pull the whole thing out like that. Okay, once you have all of those out, you want to lift the hood support up out of the way because it lays down in here in this groove. So unlatch it and pick it up. And then carefully pull this out from under the air intake housing right here. And it should just snap right out. Comes up on this side pretty easily. So I'm gonna put the camera down and pull this out. It takes 2 hands. All right, got that off, set it down. And man, what an interesting bug collection we have going on here. Wow, that's with only 1 trip to Colorado. All right, the next step is to remove the 4 grill mounting bolts, and those are the 10mm, so you're gonna need your 10mm socket, and they are located right here. If you look on the back of the grill, 1 here, we're gonna move over 1 here, that's 2, across the latch, that's 3, and then on the other side, that's 4 right there. Okay, let's take those out. Just something to be aware of, these 4 grill bolts have some blue Loctite on them, so they're gonna feel pretty tense taking them out. Not to worry, just that's the reason why. It's not like you're stripping anything. It's got a little Loctite on it, so it's firm on its way out. All right, got those bolts out. One thing to note If your Bronco has a front-facing camera, it also has a water line to wash that camera. You're gonna have to disconnect those two lines, and that's up here. I've already done it. The brown connector is your camera, and it has a little tab on this side. They just press in and that slides out, okay? The fluid is just a round connector, and if you press in on the sides of that round connector, it makes that oval elongated, and this right here will just slide right out. Okay, once the hardware is removed, there are 4 mounting clips for this black grill. There's one up here, there's one at the bottom, and likewise on the other side. So you want to start by getting your hand over here, getting your other hand right here, and gently pulling forward. You'll feel it unsnap, and then you can unsnap from the bottom, walk over to the other side and do the same thing. So I'm going to do that off camera. I'll be right back. Okay, if you've never done this before, those clips are going to be firmer than you think they are, okay? So just give it a good tug. You're not going to hurt anything. It's going to make a loud snap when it comes loose, but that's what it looks like. This clip is in that hole right there, and so it pops out. Same thing at the bottom. You got this clip on the end of this long arm here, and it snaps in place too. It's going to make a loud noise. It's pretty firm. Don't be afraid. Just pull it off. Now to the other side. All right, guys, one more thing. I've got this in my hand. In addition to the 2 clips on each end, be aware there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clips along the bottom that you're going to need to gently pull out as well. Those ones on the bottom come out a little easier, so just reach your fingers underneath the grill and pull towards you, and they'll pop right out. Okay, let's find a soft place to set this down so we don't scratch it up and move on to the next step. All right, got my grill up here on the workbench. The next step is to remove an inner sheathing away from the grill. There's an inner plastic sheathing here that needs to come out. To remove that, you're going to use your, let's see here, 25, looks like 25 Torx. Yep, your 25, T25 Torx bit, and there are 6 screws. 1 under here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then this inner sort of sheathing plastic guard will come off. So let's do that. Okay, once you get those screws out, you're going to want to switch over to your T27 Torx bit, because there are 2 screws, one here and one on the other side from the camera, that we'll need to take off, that will allow us to take this whole thing finally off. So we're going to take out those 2 screws now, and back in a second. And you'll notice that those T27 screws are a different color than the T25 screws. Okay, got all the screws out. Let's just see if this thing comes out. Well, easy peasy. Pops right out. We're gonna set this aside for now. All right, let's talk a little bit about the orientation of the wiring, okay? The grill is laying on its face. This is the top of the grill. This is the bottom of the grill, okay? The first LED, and you'll know it's the first one because it has the shortest cord from the pigtail. The shortest cord goes in the 1, 2, 3, the 3rd slot from the side, okay? Then we're gonna go over here to the LED that has the longest cord from the pigtail. There are 3 different lengths. The longest cord goes all the way to the other side, and again, 1, 2, 3, the 3rd hole from the right. Now these will be held in just a minute. Don't worry about that right now, just set it in there. What we are gonna do is we're gonna place this middle LED right above the opening, and if you wanna do the math, you can count the holes. It's in the center hole, very center of the grill, but you don't wanna count holes, It's right here in between the two letters O and N. It's where the camera goes, okay? So it's in the top slot right above where the camera goes. And we're gonna route the wire for this underneath here, and we're gonna zip tie it to this clip, this grill clip. You're gonna wanna run your zip tie underneath. You're gonna run your zip tie underneath the grill clip, you see that? And then you're gonna put the wire in here and zip tie it shut. I need two hands, I'll show you what it looks like in just a second, hang on. All right, there you go. Center LED zip tied underneath the grill clip, just like that. Now let's cut off the end of this zip tie and go to the next. All right, now that the 3 LEDs are in place, again, third one from the edge, square in the middle above where the camera goes, and third from the edge on that side. Take note of where my wires are flipping over the edge of the grill there, because now we're going to reinstall that second inner plastic cowl that will hold all of these in place. Okay, when I try to mount this center cowl back in there, this right-hand LED keeps wanting to jump out of the slot. So what I've done is temporarily I've just stuck some masking tape to it to hold it in place. The others stay in place pretty well. I'll fix that one in a minute. But the others do a pretty good job. This one, for whatever reason, wants to jump out. So now I've got it taped in from the outside. We'll remove the tape after the installation. All right, let's try this again. I've taped the left one down too, as a matter of fact, and the right one. You'll notice where I have the wire going over the grill there. The wire is zip tied going over the grill here, and there's that wire going over the grill there. Now, let's get this this inner cowl reattached. All right, inner cowl installed. I've turned it over, and now you can see our 3 LED lights on the front of the grill. Pulled the masking tape off. That was a good trick. It held them in place while I could get that thing screwed down. Next step. Okay, LEDs are in. Now what we want to do is snap this grill back into place. There are some lead pins to help you get that in the right position, and then you just push in those clips that you pulled out to begin with. 2 on that side, 2 on that side, and what was there, 8 along the bottom? Let's do that next. Okay guys, here's what I was talking about with these guide pins. These things right here, there's a slot they go into on top of the radiator here. So it just slides right in. You know that you have that in the right place. And now we need to push in the sides and the bottom. I'm gonna do that now. Okay guys, that wasn't too terribly tough. In addition to those guide pins, there are also guide pins right here on the side that go inside a circular grommet, so you know you got it in the right place. Be careful when you're snapping in these lower snaps. You can see it through the grill right there. The pin goes into the hole back there, but the pin might be below that ridge when you're trying to push it in, and it won't snap in place, and you're like, why isn't the bottom of this snapping in place? Well, just take a look down there. You can use your fingers on the back side of the grill to push that pin up, push it up until it lines up with the hole, and then simply push with your thumb. It'll go right in, okay? So if for whatever reason the bottom of your grill is not snapping back into place, it's a misalignment of the pins in the hole. So get your fingers under there and get them lined up, and they'll push in very easily. You'll notice I've got the harness up here on top of the engine, just like so. All right, I think the next steps might be zip tying this up clean and getting it plugged into the fuse box. Let's do that. All right guys, I've taken the zip ties that were provided in the kit and just zip tied this harness down to the radiator top in strategic places here, just to keep it in place. And of course, all of this will be hidden by the plastic radiator cover we're about to put on. Before we put the radiator cover on, however, you need to reattach the brown camera housing here and the black fluid hose for the camera washer. So reconnect those. Next, we're going to get the plastic radiator cover on. All right, now before I reinstall this plastic radiator cover, let's go back in and put the bolts that hold the grill in place. Remember, we took 4 of them off. We need to put them back in place. Okay, got the plastic cowl all snapped back into place and solid. The harness is coming out the end here. I've got it routed around here. I'll zip tie it down later. But then there's a negative end from the harness that I have ground right here on the negative side of the battery terminal, grounded there. The positive side is going to get hooked up to that fuse box. So let's figure out where it goes inside the fuse box. Okay, I've taken the fuse box cover off. We got our fuse box right here, and I've got my lead in from the harness. Now, this lead is sort of, I think it's called a tap-a-fuse lead. And if you put this in an empty spot, you only need the one fuse, the red fuse you see there. But I'm going to be installing it with my parking lights. My parking lights are this fuse right here. So I need to take that fuse out and install it right there on the inside. That will allow that flow through to continue to happen just like it always has, and then still power the harness. So we're gonna do that. First thing I'm gonna do, pull that out. Okay, I got it out. Time to put it inside this fuse, add a fuse block right here. So we're gonna see if I can get the camera to focus. We're gonna stick it in that upper slot right there, or lower slot, depending on how you're looking at this thing. The open slot, shall we say. Okay, just like that. So now I have 2 fuses in this tap-a-fuse contraption here. And now I am going to orient that so that it slides down right in the slot where I just took that fuse out of. Right here. And I'm gonna press down. All right, that's installed. Before I get all this closed back up, let's turn it on and see if these work. Okay, they didn't come on, so I'm gonna try another fuse block in here. All right, take a look at that. They work. Let me show you what fuse slot I used. Okay, originally I was trying parking lights, which is right here. That didn't work. So I moved it up here to slot number 9, which is the ignition slot. And so I have the 2, you can see the 2 fuses are put in there. Sorry, it's a little blurry. 2 fuses in there, and then I slotted this into the number 9 position. And that is the ignition position. So now anytime the car turns on, the lights are coming on. Okay guys, a small little hiccup. I found which fuse works in the fuse box, but the fuse box cover fits very tightly and waterproofly down, and with an external wire coming into the fuse box, you have to route it up under the fuse box where the rest of the wire assembly comes through, and there's no hole that I could find that you could take it over to the top of the fuse box and plug it in. And so alternatively, they said you could cut a notch in the fuse box cap. I'm not about to cut a notch in the fuse box cap. It's there for a reason, to keep water out. So I'm not doing that. So what was my next plan? Well, we have a Bronco Wildtrak, and the Wildtrak came with 6 auxiliary switches up in the center console above your head. So I just looked up the wiring for each auxiliary switch to make sure it was strong enough to handle, all of them are strong enough because this let's face it, 3 LEDs, not pulling that much. Anyway, so I wired it directly to auxiliary switch number 2. And so let me show you how that works. Okay, so there's the harness coming through. You see the red wire? Coming right back into here. Auxiliary switch 2 is that green wire that the Broncos come pre-wired with. That's just great. And so I've got a Wago connector, and I'm connecting the red powered wire with the green switch wire. So now, we leave auxiliary switch 2 flipped, and it only turns on when the car turns on. So we're going to start the car real quick. Auxiliary 2 lights up in here. And voila, the lights work. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Something a little bit different. Installed these LED lights on my Bronco. My wife wanted them. They look great. It wasn't too difficult. Just follow the instructions. Buy a few more zip ties than what they give you in the kit. You may need them. Anyway, I hope you like the content. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. It's free of charge. And guys, till I talk to you again, ride safe and God bless.